Good afternoon. Welcome back to another rendition of the B&H virtual event space. We have a treat for all those mobile filmmakers out there. This is like the trilogy right here. We have, of course, Steve Weiss joining us from Zacuto. Steve, say hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing, Steve?
Good. Is this where you want to know a little bit about me?
No, we'll bring it back around.
Okay.
Just doing some quick hellos here. You guys are, of course, tuned in for some filmmaking tips for those of you who are mobile filmmakers on the go. Really, anybody introduced or interested in film, we're going to get some stuff for you today. Vadim Shalenko joining us from Beastgrip. Vadim, what's going on?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing wonderful. And rounding out the trio right here, Cassius Rayner. Cassius joining us from Zhiyun. Cassius, how's it going, man?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's very wet here in London.
Very wet. Well, Cassius, we're going to stay with you right there. If you could just introduce yourself to our mobile audience out there, a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what's your background?
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name's Cassius Rayner. I'm an independent filmmaker and mobile cinematographer. 20 years as a camera operator and director in television, and then had a midlife crisis and went into mobile. I haven't looked back since. Started it in 2014. I shoot everything from documentaries, music videos, branded content, drama. And this year we've got some feature films in development, all going to be shot on mobile phones. I'm based in London in the UK, and it's wonderful to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, it's a pleasure to have you. And I'm due for a midlife crisis shortly. So I'll be getting ready I'll have to pay extra attention for this. Vadim, what's going on? Tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Yeah. Hey, so my name is Vadim Chalenko, and I'm a founder of Beastgrip. Beastgrip company is based in Des Plaines, Illinois. And basically what we do, we design and manufacture camera accessories and gear for smartphones. That includes all kinds of different rigs, lenses, filters, other accessories, basically anything to make your phone feel like more like traditional camera and basically help you to create better content and just expand the capabilities of your smartphone camera.
Awesome. Well, it's a pleasure to have you, Vadim, as well. Steve, you're going to bring us home here. Huge thank you, obviously, to Zacuto for hosting today's event and bringing along some wonderfully talented guests. But Steve, give us a little background on yourself.
Oh, boy. I guess I'm the dinosaur here because I started in the 70s, okay, with the fall of Saigon, with this camera. You know, this was my camera as a kid. And then around 1983, I came to Chicago here with this idea that I wanted to create fashion videos and put them in department stores. And at that time, there were no TVs in department stores, and that was a hard get. So I went to the apparel center and I talked them into it, and I did fashion videos, and I pretty much worked in corporate fashion and documentary style videos from 1983 till 2001, where we didn't take commissions anymore and we just decided to do our own work, and took kind of a break when we sold our production company. And then we started our rental company. And then we noticed that when the cameras changed from like the VariCam, we were like, wow, these things are just not usable. You know, you can't get them on your shoulder, which is, we're shoulder shooters, you know, handheld shooters. And, you know, so then we said, wow, we'll create some equipment for our rental department. And then all of a sudden people were like, especially Able, they were like, well, can we buy this stuff? And out of nowhere, we became a camera manufacturer. It was not really, it'd be like you saying you're going to be a brain surgeon one day. It was never in my ecosystem there, and that's where we are now. So we're still creating content, and we're creating equipment for the film industry in both the large cameras and now in the phone space.
That's awesome. So what you're telling me is there was a time when you walked into a store and there was no TV? No, yes. I can't imagine.
Department stores never had TVs in the early 80s. And actually, it sounds ridiculous, but when I went to my first fashion manufacturer, I said, I have this dream of showing the clothes come to life. And he's like, but they have no TV. So in the first ones we did, we rented 126 TVs and 3/4-inch decks and put them in department stores all around the country.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Well, we're clearly in the right space. I mean, it's great to see the width of industry experience here and where we are all at now, starting from just those enormous, heavy, cumbersome rigs, and now we're creating. I can't say I'm not creating the content that is just driving. Like, you guys are creating content that you would never even dream of even 5-10 years ago on mobile devices. So we're going to dive into this over the next hour. And I really implore all you guys out there, if you do have any questions, now's the time to get them in during this presentation. We're going to go ahead and show a couple videos here that really just flex the capabilities of what these three brands are bringing us. And after that, we're going to dive a little bit more into the products. And from there, I hope we get off into the weeds with some really interesting conversation and some questions from you guys out there and the reaches of the interweb. So Danny, let's cue up those videos and we'll join you in a couple minutes.
Cool.
All right. And before we move into the next one, I do want to remind everybody out there, this is being broadcast over Zoom. So any choppiness, any delays, we apologize.
Cool.
This is so awesome.
Very impressive.
We got to roll it back. There we go.
The Smart Z-Finder magnifies the camera's screen and gives you that immersive shooting experience which filmmakers have demanded for years for critical focus and framing. It also blocks any ambient light that may be hitting the screen, so you can see what you're actually shooting and what the image really looks like. It also stabilizes your rig for all-day shooting and allows you to mount all of the accessories you may need. You can start small with the Smart Z-Finder only, or build a full rig. Become one of the thousands of filmmakers who've come to rely on the Zacuto experience.
All right. We've been wowed with the visuals. That's how you pull the masses in. You throw out a nice, spectacular video that's been edited to perfection. And then you get into the nitty-gritty, the details. So Vadim, we're going to start with you. If you just want to give us a little introduction to what we saw there in the video, you guys' product line, anything in Beastgrip general you think we should know about the brand.
Yeah, so in the video, we just tried to collect some of the behind the scenes from the projects that been shot with our gear. So basically, Apple, Samsung, Google, they all have been shooting, projects with their phones to show the capabilities of those cameras. And over the years, we had like, I don't know how many projects, from just the commercials to short films to feature films that had been shot with iPhone or Samsung or Galaxy. And in a lot of those projects, our gear actually was used. So we just collected some of those just to showcase nice visuals and show how our gear was used on those projects. Yep.
Awesome. Now, Cassius, we'll get down to your little segment here before we start introducing some questions in here and get to Steve ultimately. But Cassius, tell us a little bit about Zhiyun and the products that we saw utilized in that video.
Yeah, so I'm an ambassador for Zhiyun, or Zhiyun. I mean, it's named differently around the world, but with Zhiyun. I've been a huge advocate of their gimbal systems. I think their teams have worked so hard on designing their specific gimbals to really work for filmmakers that want to use mobile phones. And I think the first time I came across them, it was all about the connection with like Filmic Pro, which is a video recording app that I used, and was amazed at the connections, the interaction between it. And I would say the follow focus, like it's quite unique with Zhiyun. The gimbals have the wheels for obviously zooming. You can also do cinematic dolly zoom, but you can also use it as a manual focus pull. And for me as a filmmaker shooting documentaries, drama, to be able to have that smoothness in the shots and pull focus was really what really did it for me with Zhiyun. And they're just developing incredible technology around the gimbals each year, adding amazing things to it. And now we've got the Smooth 5S, which has got a built-in light and dimmer control, and also magnetic lights that attach to it. So, you know, it's fantastic. And all those films, there are 5 films that were selected by Zhiyun, which is part of Tell Better Stories, hashtag Tell Better Stories. And that's all about how they use the Smooth 5S in all of their stories. And they're amazing. The films are amazing. The tracking shots in them are just absolutely incredible. So yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Thank you. And Steve, we'll round it out here. Just give us a little bit about what we saw in the video there.
All right, I'm gonna use a little B-roll here because I'm not really, it's hard to describe, but I'm gonna start with this, where you can see, this is our original Z-Finder. So when the 5D came out, you know, a lot of people were like, how am I gonna use this thing? You know, I saw it, the first thing I thought of was I grabbed my Hasselblad viewfinder and I stuck it right on that thing. This is a little bit about how Jens and I have been using viewfinders our whole lives. And this shows you that the sort of design of this is pretty much the same as it's been since 1930. You know, nothing really changes. You know, the idea of getting your eye in a viewfinder and seeing what you're doing is what we do. That's what we've done since the beginning of time, you know. And these are the different rigs, but I want to get right into this where you can really see the experience. So there's an incredible experience to, in there you can see the actual shot, to really being able to see. And now here you can see how he's doing it. He's actually got a phone in the back of our skirt, and then he brings the image closer. Here's another one where he's doing a vertical shot, and you can see, I don't know if there's a light stand, a boom pole, a person, a bottle sitting on the floor. That would freak me out. So you can see the difference there. And then when you go to the actual shot, you're sort of seeing it, you know. So here's another version where there could be a person standing in the woods over there that I don't know. And I can't really work like that myself. And here's how you can see it can go from a tripod to handheld, which is what we've always wanted to do. Or you can use this quick magnetic connection. You can touch the screen by looking below or actually through it. Now here's a big deal. Like, if you're doing a rack focus, look at this. You're looking through the Z-Finder. You see how the guy's blurry and then he's brought into focus. I mean, you really need to see that to be able to pull that off. The other thing that we built into it is this sort of linking hand grip so that you can get the thing in the exact right angle you want. Like here, I'm doing a low mode shot. I'm not, but I'm walking there. And you can see, this is a little bit about our anti-fog, which is something that we've always had. It's kind of critical. And here's the whole deal here. This is made for one take environments. You know, there's no going back. You know, if you're shooting someone who's doing an activity that can't be reproduced, especially like actors, you got to do it this way. Now here's showing our new micro boom, where you're a one-man band recording audio, where you can just walk up to somebody and start shooting. And you know, this is what I do. I make things that I hold in my hand. I can shoot like I did, you know, in the 1970s, and get the shots I need to do, where I can see composition, framing, and really feel what the viewer feels.
I think that's something that's so inherent just to photographers, filmmakers, everybody in general, just something as simple as, like you said, seeing through a viewfinder. It doesn't require this great technology. It's just the simple act of having your eye up, having light blocked out. And like, I can't look, I learned looking through a viewfinder. I still can't look into the back of my phone, even when taking, you know, or a flip screen or whatever. So let's stay right there, because I already do see questions coming in on the Z-Finder. It seems to be a pretty popular thing that people want to know more about. So can we get into mounting these accessories, the ease? Is it plug and play? Can we talk about that a little bit?
Like here's a director's rig that we call, you know, and this thing is light and it's balanced. I mean, I can hold this all day. Now here we have, whoa, I got to get my right and left here. Yeah, I'm going to show you. Here we have a lens on it, but I want to show you what you can put on it actually. So this little image shows you, it has, you know, 8 cold shoes, 3 NATO rails, 11 quarter 20s, 3 Arca mounts for mounting in different ways. So, and I'll show you one other shot here. Why don't you hand me that big rig there, Jens? Here we go. Put that on, actually. Yeah, so here you can see, if I can do this without my other glasses. Cable out of it. I can't see without my reading glasses. There we go. Okay, so here is like a full-blown rig, where we even have our new micro mixer that I'll show you here, that you can bring 2 mics in. And, you know, now I can shoot with it like this. Here, I'm going to show you a shot. Okay, here, Verge, stand over there. So here I can shoot him, and I can interview him, and I'm using a phone pretty much like I use any other camera I've ever had, you know. You know, I got a light on here.
What's the length on that telescoping boom arm there?
That's a good question. Long enough.
Long enough. All right.
I mean, it's if you're 3 feet, if I'm doing a shot, you know, that's a normal interview shot, and you can also rotate it vertically and use the boom as well. I have a feeling that's going to be a very popular product, because like when you're at NAB and somebody walks right up to you, you know, when you say to somebody, can I put a tie tack on you? The performance changes. All of a sudden, they're like, oh, if I just have that out, I've been using that, and walk right up. So tell me, what is new? They're going to just, they're kind of taken by surprise. And I'm all about performance. You know, you get what I'm talking about there.
Oh, totally. It's all, it's all about, you have to have stuff that's functional. And that kind of leans into what I'm going to ask next is, we've seen a lot of content now shift to the vertical side of things. So I can just feel out there getting the different pulses from everybody. Some people love it. Some people hate it. Whether you love it or hate it, it's a fact of where video has gone in this age of content creation and social media and all of that. How easy is it to switch these systems around? How well do these systems play with each other? I mean, we have you guys on here for a reason together. I'm guessing there's a lot of kind of mixing and matching and getting your system right, as you would do on a cinema rig.
I mean, here's how I do it. You know, it's seconds.
Wow.
It's, you know what? Even in the larger cameras, we're going to be going to NAB showing how you have that you can quickly rotate those cameras on a shoulder rig. look, I come from vertical not being a thing, and I know we hate it because when you take it home and you put it on a monitor, it's a sliver, but it, like you said, it's here and you have to do it. I'm required to do it. I mean, our social media department says, I want a square, I want horizontal, and I want 16 by 9, 9 by 16, and 1 by 1. So I'm pulling the 1 by 1 from the 16 by 9, kind of how we used to shoot 35 millimeter motion picture and framed for 4:3, which we hated that. But you got to do it. I mean, they want this for social media. It's just the future.
Definitely. Vadim, Cassius, any thoughts on that, on where content creation has gone in regards to vertical and how we're adjusting, as far as the gear is related?
So I'm going to show you some examples because we have different rigs, like our best-selling universal rig, Beastgrip Pro. So for vertical, if you're shooting handheld, I mean, it really depends how you're going to hold your camera. So nothing special here, but we also have additional adapter because initially we didn't, think about vertical much. I mean, you have a tripod that you can adjust your position of your head if you need, but then we released like adapters so you can put to the handle, so you can mount it on tripod vertically if you need. But for the Beast cage, which is another line of products we have, it's a dedicated iPhone cage. So by itself, cage, it's like a minimal cage. The main function is to the ability to add optics. We actually have different lens mount options, so you can use moment lenses, hour lenses, all kinds of different lenses. But then you can build your rig the way you need. So we have different solutions, different grips. We have action style handles that you can add on top of your rig, or if you want to add them on the side of your rig. So I don't have them here, but basically if you have your side handle, then you can mount it on tripod vertically if you need. But we actually gonna be releasing a new handle with different mounting options. So here we have like a NATO L bracket. So with this handle now I can go, from, if I need to shoot vertically handheld, I can put this handle on this side of the cage. If I want to go with traditional horizontal rig, I can mount it here. And as you can see, it's also like really fast because it's standard NATO profile. And the same handle we're going to have upgrade for our universal rig. So you can kind of switch and have Beastgrip Pro with this style of handle. And if you want to use it with gimbals, you can quickly remove it, have it much smaller footprint. And we also have a couple 1/4-inch mounts here, so you can mount it like any way you need to balance it properly, depending on the lenses you're using, your phone. So everything is adjustable and you can perfectly balance it with your rig, with your gimbal.
Now we had some questions come in. Yeah, no, go ahead, Steve.
I just wanted to say that I really dig your cage there. And, we made this accessory part that you can kind of see so that you can use Vadim's cage with a Z-Finder. So, I mean, if you've got Vadim's cage, it's still possible you can use a Z-Finder.
That's exactly what I wanted to get out there. So thank you, Steve. Because a lot of this is, seeing how well these products play together and that you can kind of mix and match. Or if you have one, I think people are so used to such proprietary options. We've gotten used to brands that are like, all right, it's us or nobody. And this way, if you have something, you can kind of build on it and work with brands that play well with one another. So I think that's another huge, important call out right there. Now, how are you guys in general adjusting to, are these products, because we've seen with Apple, with Samsung, with all the brands out there, phones are constantly changing and the littlest things. And it's like, okay, well, this cage is fitted to this phone, but then the profile of the phone changes. Is it more of a general build where it's not so focused on the nuances and the details of the phones, if that makes sense?
Well, I mean, with Zhiyun and the gimbals, obviously it's down to weight, and it's pretty universal. The grip on their gimbals will pretty much hold any sort of size phone, really. You Yeah, I mean, it's not really a problem in the gimbal arena. I don't know for the other guys, but you know, that it just comes down to weight, just making sure you know that the gimbal you're buying has a payload that can carry the weight of your actual phone. But apart from size, that's not a problem.
Okay. And for you guys with the cages and the other accessories that you guys have, is it really an issue or?
No, I mean, the thing weighs nothing. I mean, that's the cool part of the whole phone. I mean, I think that our full, thing is like 2 pounds. So our micro mixer is 1.2 ounces. The boom pole is 7 ounces. I mean, their light is everything. So, and balance, you got to have balance and light. Doesn't matter if it's on your shoulder, if it's 1950, if it's today, it's always the same. Light and balanced. Well, light wasn't an issue, but actually even heavy and balanced. Sometimes that heft, Cassius, remember when the E&Gs, when you'd go boom, boom, there was a heft was nice sometimes.
It stabilizes you, anchors you a little bit.
If it's balanced, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, weight is
and
good.
Low. Yeah. And low. When they made cameras too high, then you now you got this sort of wobbly issue going, and that's an issue with phones. Sometimes you have to be careful of keeping the horizon just right. That's difficult. That's one of the reasons I want to look through the thing so that I can see that my horizon's right. These are lifelong issues that are never go away. Later, I think we should talk about one issue, which we get a lot, is people say, why would I use a phone when I can use a mirrorless camera?
Let's go there, Steve. Let's dive in. I mean, because I actually from the second those videos started playing, I'm like, man, I'm not even lying. I built out a cage last week for my mirrorless camera. And now I'm watching you guys and I'm watching these videos that are better than anything I'll ever do, even if I were, filming on the greatest 6K cameras out there. And I'm like, okay, you guys are perfect proof that the gear, to an extent, doesn't matter. It's, it's more about what the creator can do with it. But why should I take that whole big, heavy rig that I spent thousands of dollars modifying and say, you know what? I have my phone always on me. Let me make a nice little setup here that I can do anything with.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they're tools. This is the thing that people need to understand. And I've said this for years, I'm not jumping out of a Humvee with a red camera. Okay. There are times when the phone is amazing. Let's talk about like NAB. You walk on the floor there. I don't need a mirrorless camera for that. What I want is great depth of field. When the 5D came out, everybody was just enamored with the shallow depth of field. And it was just like everything was so shallow that there are times when I want shallow depth of field. There are times when I don't, and I'll tell you when I don't. Often we would interview pretty influential people. If that person dipped it, and again, one take environment, if they dipped a little, sometimes people do this. I can't have that person going in and out of focus. The phone is wonderful for that. It has a great amount of depth of field, but when you use like Vadim's lenses, you can create a shallower depth of field if you want it. Now, not granted, it might not be like a mirrorless camera, and then there are times when the phone is absolutely the wrong tool for the job. And I know that Cassius is shooting movies on a phone. Now, I kind of want to shoot a documentary on a phone. But if I'm doing a narrative project, I probably wouldn't use a phone myself because I'd want to have more of the creature comforts I'm comfortable with more of a mid-sized camera or an upper-sized camera. We shot a TV pilot a while back, and we used I think it was a C500 or one of these types of cameras. I mean, I don't really care, but it had the creature comforts that I needed.
Can I jump in there, Steve, as well? That on the back of what you said, which was spot on. I get hounded online. Get yourself a mirrorless camera. What you doing? Shooting with a phone. It's ridiculous. It's this. It's that. And to me, it was no different than the argument when I was trained in 35mm and 16mm to when obviously we went through the tape, the worlds of tape, and then beta and so on, and then straight on to digital. you know, oh, is digital going to take over from 35mm? Of course it's not. They're totally separate tools with separate aesthetics, and you get different results from each, you know, type of tool that you work with. I choose, you know, mobile video can be tricky at times. It can be challenging in different scenarios. I mean, I've filmed all over the world, documentaries and whatnot, shooting on phones, and sometimes it's been a real challenge, but I choose that because that's my creative outlet. That's what I enjoy the most out of it. And if I want to shoot with something else, then I will make that choice to do that. And for me, it's always about having choice. You choose the tool that's right for the project. And it happens to be that mobile is what works for me, using the Zhiyun gimbals. I mean, everything I shoot is used with those gimbals. I'm happy. I've got that and a little stick and I'm off. That's it. And that's what I'm happy with. And I think, you know, it's choice. It's just about having choice. It's not taking over. Mobile video is not going to take over the world of the film industry, but it will be there, and it will be a separate entity for those that want to explore that avenue.
I mean, Cassius, let me ask you a question, and this comes up all the time. How many cameras do you have?
What, real cameras?
Yeah. Do you have a mirrorless camera?
No, got none.
Oh, okay. Well, most people I talk to, they probably have a C300. You know, as we went from cameras to cameras, they might have a, you know, an FS5. They have a mirrorless camera. They have a phone. It's like, again, what you said, it's always the right tool for the right job. But the one thing that the phone does that everything else does not do, and I don't care what anyone says, is this, that computational photography. I didn't use one light when I shot this. Look at the outside. Look at the inside. This looks like it was a feature, you know, and lit. And I can't do that with any other camera but a phone. And I know people are going to just beat me up in the comments right now, but you have to admit that looked pretty damn good having that outside. Yeah. Where when I watch a lot of narrative, people are just, they choose to blow out the outside. Because, you know, we used to bring huge HMIs and either, you know, light for the outside or, you know, knock the windows down and light for the inside.
Yeah.
I love that you brought that up, Steve. And I think, yeah, a lot of the people that would be beating anybody up in the comments section are people who haven't been out there at the industry experience. So to hear somebody with your experience in the industry point that out, I mean, I think that's nothing speaks louder for using the phone than somebody who's used everything that at your disposal, and you still can find the and purpose the iPhone in the right scenario, the right environment. I think that speaks to the power of mobile photography, where it's not just about getting it in small spaces. We've already shown that we can use mirrorless cameras to get in those small spaces. Seen people do crazy stuff with drones, both handheld, and it's insane what we can do now. But stuff like that I wouldn't necessarily think of. I never would have thought of the computational photography aspect. I wouldn't have even thought of the richer depth of field. You know, because I see it all the time from friends of mine who are working in the cinema world, and it's like, can we stop shooting everything wide open? Not everything has to be at the widest possible aperture.
No, I actually like, sometimes when we were doing photography, shooting at a 22, man, you can see the liquid in people's eyes. It's just an incredible with flash. I mean, I still work on film, not motion film, but we have a darkroom here at Zacuto, and my daughter and I, we shoot with our Canonettes, you know, 35mm film, and we process and develop. There's just something wonderful about having a texture medium like that. And this Gen Z, they are all over analog everything, film, vinyl. They want to live in the 70s, and I'm loving it because I did that. And a lot of people still are using film cameras. I actually saw something yesterday on social media that said, oh, no, Clayton sent it to me, that said that these point and shoot cameras are flying off the shelf, old ones, and because these Gen Z kids are crazy about the crappier quality. They like that look, the aesthetic. And these film cameras, like we bought these new Canonette cameras, they're $300-400 on eBay because people want that now. It's the aesthetic. There's also a phone aesthetic that's kind of cool. But yeah, if you're not willing to embrace all of these different technologies and use the right tool for the right job, I get it. Like I poo-pooed 4K at the beginning, but now I get it. I didn't really understand it.
Yeah.
If we could pivot real quick, because we did have a question come in regarding iPads. So for you guys' products, is there anything that is out there for the people who are using iPads, or is it really to the smaller mobile devices?
I mean, I explored iPad in the early days, like 7 years ago, just to see what it was going to do. I mean, the lenses are just not the same as they are developed on phones. They're far from it. And also I found, you know, in a filmmaking world using an iPad, every time there's a breeze, you know, it wobbles. You can't keep it steady on a tripod. It will just go blah, 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 blah. So I just thought, no, okay, it's not going anywhere for me on that one. But as far as rigs are concerned, I don't know, Steve. I mean,
I do handheld. That adds weight, and again, I don't want to poo-poo anything anymore, because you know what, it may work for someone. You know, it's harder for us to see, so the bigger the screen, the better. But I would use the iPad as a monitor, and you can do that now. Dan Chung has some device where you can use that iPad as a monitor, and that would be great. But I can't see myself using it, holding it like this. Is just a bit awkward. But more power to you if you can pull it off.
Yeah.
Steve, we had a specific question in regards to the Z-Finder. Does it fit the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and where can you mount your external microphone and light?
It fits every phone. It comes with these little plastic frames that you know can frame for different phones. It fits the iPhone. I mean, I have an iPhone 13. 13, is that what they said?
Max.
Yeah, 13 Pro.
Oh, is this a Max here, Jens? Yeah, okay, so this is a 13 Max. And then your second question was about accessories.
Yeah, so like external microphone.
I think that this answers that question there. I have a lot of accessories here. I mean, I even have this gun stock, which gives me like 4 points of contact. Now I got my eye. I mean, I can hunker down and really get a nice shot, steady shot here. And I got all, you know, I also have a brow, so I can bring here. There's a flare right there. I can tell I'm going to get one right there, you know, and so you can bring the brow down. And the funny thing is if you look at this camera, this ain't any different.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't even realize this. This baby was sitting on the shelf and here, even the grip, the grip is movable. I mean, Canon really thought this out. This was when they had sound for Super 8, which was just a very short time period, because then video came out. But they thought this points of contact out. You know, you need, if you can go here, here, and here, have one lens, you know, for your lens. Now we're not doing that so much here, but you are if you have a polarizer, you know, on there or something like that. That's, again, it's how they've been doing it for centuries. Well, not centuries, but a century.
A long time.
It literally is a century now, more than a century.
Crazy, time is flying. Bethany joining us on Vimeo says, thank you for making incredible products and constantly innovating. We use Beastgrip and Zhiyun for marketing cars at local car dealerships. What is your most compact solution for a Samsung Galaxy S22?
I think majority of, because we have a bunch of companies that shoot at dealerships, they use our universal rig because they constantly changing phones. So this one works with pretty much every phone, and it's also allows you to use filters. So a lot of those companies, they use polarizing filters just to, you know, avoid some reflections from the cars. So I would say that's as compact as you can get, because here I got my Galaxy S22 Ultra, and we are adding just a couple inches on each side, so you can't go smaller than that. We also have, like, you know, clamps. Basically, that's the most minimal setup you can get. Even if I remove this additional handle, now I have just like a clamp. I still can add some accessories via cold shoe. I have extra grip, but I think, yeah, Beastgrip Pro, that's what usually those company uses, because you have options. If you need filter, you can add it. If you need wide lens, you can add it. If you don't, you can just use rig with the phone itself. So, oh yeah, and it works with gimbals, but not the small gimbals, because that's number one question we always get, like, hey, I have this Zhiyun or DJI small gimbal. Can I use your rig with my gimbal? And answer is no, because just the weight and size, you will not be able to mount it, balance it. So we usually recommend gimbals that at least are for mirrorless cameras, or hey, if you can get the largest, like big size gimbal, it's gonna last you for a long time, and you can use our rig or just put any camera you want. You can't go wrong with that.
I use a lot of your rigs, as you probably know, and absolutely love your rigs. I've used them from the beginning. Yeah, with Zhiyun, you know, you would need to use like with the cage, because I love shooting with the Beastgrip cage and their telephoto lens, fantastic. But of course, that combined is a lot of weight. So with Zhiyun, I would use the Weebill range of gimbals, which are absolutely fantastic. And I think you guys at Beastgrip have used one as well, haven't you? I'm sure.
Yeah, we have a lot of Zhiyun gimbals,
Yeah.
Weebill, cranes. So we tested all of them. Yeah, so like all of them work. If it's larger gimbal, you know, it's just preference. I mean, if it's large gimbal, it adds weight. So, you know, maybe when I travel, I usually try to take the smallest gimbal I can, which is gonna hold my rig. But yeah, all of those gimbals, they are fully compatible. You can use all of them.
Okay. Now, Cassius, we had a couple of questions that are geared over towards your side of things with the Zhiyun. Diane just got a Beast Cage for iPhone 14 Pro Max, and also got the Crane 3 gimbal. She's having a little some challenges. So this is something when people get gimbals, I think we all experience it. We think we just take it out of the box and we slap it on there and it's good.
Yeah, and it's magic.
Exactly.
Wave a wand and
can you give some tips, some tips for balancing for those of us? Because Diane, I've been there. I don't think I ever have gotten a gimbal to balance properly. That's a me thing.
What did she say? The Crane 3. She's got
the Crane 3. Yes.
So I can't, off the top of my head, I can't remember what the payload is on the Crane 3. The first thing to do is to check that straight away on the specs. You need to check what the payload is, and then you need to actually weigh what your rig is weighing as well, obviously, to match that up. It could be a calibration issue. If it's not been manually calibrated properly, then that can cause a problem where it might just sort of do this, or you'll get a beeping sound, which is quite alarming, and you go, oh my God, it's doing some weird things, or it just shuts off. And that's just because it just can't balance because you haven't put the weight central. So try those two things first. Check out your payloads, try to manually calibrate the gimbal. Beyond that, I mean, to be honest, I would be using the Weebill, and I know you've got the Crane 3. It should manage it. It should cope with it. My feeling is that you've got a problem with calibrating it. So check those over. Go on YouTube. There are loads of fantastic free videos that will show you how to manually calibrate and physically, you know, what you need to do and stuff. If you're not sure on that, do check that out. But those are the two things: payload, and then what's going on with your calibration.
Awesome. Thank you.
I got a question for you, Cassius. So I've used gimbals. Well, I take that back. I really haven't used gimbals. We've used steady cams because we were using heavy rigs up until recently. And I did try a gimbal, and I have one issue with that. And and it's this. It's like when I want to do that, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. Yeah. It's like, it seems that I can't get that gimbal. It's not a reactional device like that. And now, again, if I'm doing Rocky, you know, and I want to go up the stairs and fly around the guy like a Steadicam shot, I want that thing. Right. There is a whip pan mode on the Zhiyun gimbals. It's on the trigger points on the back of it. So if you actually hold your finger on it and then do a quick turn like this, the head will just go, it will go as fast as you're turning it, if that makes sense.
So it's
I
not
mean,
on
I
a-
tried it. It's just, you know, to me, and again, I'm not knocking gimbals, and I'm not just promoting
Sure,
what I
sure.
do, but you know, when I'm doing that or that or that, it's like I kind of really need to see that internally.
Yeah.
And it's just harder to do when I'm kind of doing this because I don't know where I'm landing. My horizon has got issues.
Right. Right.
You know, I mean, maybe in that
Fair
scenario,
point.
to me, it's not the right tool. But like I said, if you're doing those flowing, beautiful shots, you know, you got to have that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally agree.
Sometimes what I do, I just shut it down and just hold my camera, you know, if I need some specific shots, and then just
Yeah.
do like handheld. It's heavy, it's balanced, you know, you don't have much shakes, then you turn it on back and you have gimbal again. So that's
Yeah,
what I do.
Here, I want to show you that. So like I showed this earlier, but if you look at this low mode shot, it's like, and I don't want to say, why do I need a gimbal? But look, I'm hand holding this and doing a gimbal type shot where I'm walking all around. You know, what about the whole stabilization built into these cameras now? That's like the other coolest thing besides the computational photography to me.
Sure. I mean, yeah, absolutely. With the new phones, the stabilization is fantastic, you know, really impressive. A lot of people can do handheld. My issue is with the cropping of the image. You know, stabilization, depending on what level you set it at, is cropping your original frame. And that's not cool for me. That's why gimbals works for me. It's something I can relate to because I was also a Steadicam operator back in the day. So for me, it was a natural crossover to go to that for me to get the shots I want. It's not for everyone. Some people do prefer handheld, fantastic, and some of them can do incredible stuff handheld. But for me, you know, the smoothness of the gimbal, I switch stabilization off the phone. I don't want it on.
Yeah, and another thing about image stabilization, like Cassius said, it's you're gonna get up to 20% crop if you go to cinematic mode. So plus. Right. Image stabilization doesn't work well if your lens has any type of distortion. If you have barrel distortion, if you use anamorphic lens, if you have optical squeeze, it's just a mess. You know, it still can help you if you shoot in handheld. When I shoot handheld with anamorphic, I always use image stabilization because I can control my rig and it helps to eliminate some of the, you know, little shakes. But if you have a little bit of movement and you try to move your camera, it's just like a jello, you know, everything goes like messed up. So in this case, external lenses, if they have a distortion, it's like gimbals. That's the only solution if you really want to get like nice and smooth shots. If you don't have any lenses, especially if you go with ultra wide camera with cinematic mode, yes, you can literally like run with your rig and it's still going to do a really good job. So I think it's all depends like what tools you have, if you're using lenses or not, if you like the fact of the crop or not, you know, so you just have options.
I agree with you, Vadim. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Steve, sorry. It's also about manual focusing. I tend to shoot 95% manual focus. So for me to do that, handheld is really tricky, whereas with the gimbal, and that's why I really kind of went with Zhiyun and their gimbal designs because of the wheel. This wheel here, if I can get it right here, allows me, once it connects to the phone, whether you're using the Zhiyun app or Filmic Pro, say, then of course I've got manual focus, so I can still get that nice tracking smooth shot, but I'm pulling focus as well. I haven't got to mess with the screen itself. So that was another benefit to me for that, particularly with getting smooth tracking shots.
Yeah, I mean, I both you bring up good points, and it's like, but really, I'm more of a director than I am a camera operator. Jens has been my DP for my whole life. That I use, and this is as a director, this is how I work. I still use a dolly because a dolly has a particular look. It's like you're veering in on a scene. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'd totally bring it.
A crane has a different look. It's like I'm starting at a position above and then I'm kind of peering in on a scene. A Steadicam has this kind of sneaky feel where I can move around a scene. A drone has another feel, and then handheld is this sort of frenetic aesthetic. So sometimes, like Vadim said, I will shut off the stabilization because I love the frenetic look. I like this idea, 70% of TV shot handheld with the frenetic look, which gives you this sort of like I'm in the scene, or it just heightens the whole tension of the scene. And that's like where you're literally kind of doing a little bit of movement like this, crime dramas, things like that. That's the handheld aesthetic. So I pick these things depending on the feel that I want or the emotion I'm trying to pull from a scene.
Sure. Yeah. Total sense. It's about the tools, as you mentioned earlier, Steve. It's the tools that are right for the aesthetics of what it is that you're shooting, whether it's documentary, drama, and so on. Yeah, absolutely.
And one of the things that sucks today to me is that we used to work with rental houses. So we would get the exact tool that we wanted for the job. Now that people buy equipment, it's like they're kind of hurting themselves in a way because you're pinned into using one type of tool where I can't necessarily get the emotional aesthetic that I'm looking for. If I only have our rig, let's say, or I only have a gimbal, or I only have a Steadicam. It's like I can't make a movie where I'm pinned into a particular type of device. When we had it, like I said, with a rental house, it was great. You go in there and you say, I need a piccolo crane, which was dangerous, but they were great. You got this nice from 10 feet down to the ground there. And actually, I liked that you could sit on the thing and really feel it as a human being,
But you see, I do that now with a gimbal on a monopod, the fully extended monopods. I call it the fly shot, and I can go right up high to the first floor or into the tree lines and bring it right down to the ground. And back in the day, having to use jib cranes and all sorts to obviously replicate that kind of filming. I mean, for me, the creativity is just so fast to work with. It's just so quick to work with that technology now. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
I love it. I was just going to stay quiet and see how long you guys. I'm getting free tips already. This is like a free cinema class, I swear. Now, well, I do want to bring up a question that has been popping in as far as, are there any apps that you need? Is there any software that goes with any of this gear? Does it work in collaboration with certain apps? What is hardware? What is software? How do we merge the two?
I have found that people do not they want to select their camera app. And when you force them to use a particular app, that upsets me, because it's like the difference of, somebody giving you a camera and say, here, use this camera. I don't know all the menus and everything in that camera. Now I'm a little older than you guys. So although Cassius, you're getting close to me.
Thanks, man.
You can't give me a camera. and go, I'm not going through. And that's the other thing I love about the phone. It's like I can just pick the thing up, hit the go button. If the president's coming off a plane, I can get that. I don't have to start going, oh my God, I got to change my aperture, do all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. There is a certain wonderful feature about it for doing news and one take environments and all this kind of stuff, where I get panicky with menus. And everyone wants to use the camera app they want to use. The moment you force them to use someone's camera app, it is not cool. I don't think people like it. But what do you say, Cassius or Vadim?
Well, I mean, with a lot of the Android phones came out with their own pro settings, which was fantastic. Samsung did that. Sony Xperia have done that. Where they've got their own built-in pro settings on the app. So you've got choice. You can just, like you say, shoot and go, or you can switch it to pro mode and then go through all the settings you would, on a DSLR camera. So you have those options, which is great. But when I first started, with iPhones, that wasn't being offered. That wasn't being built in. Apple wasn't driving that at all. They're still not. It's still very limited. So that's when
there is a reason for that.
Yeah, I'm sure, but that's why you have to source out. I'm just talking from a video app perspective. That's why, you know, you had to source out. I mean, yourselves at Beastgrip, you've got Beastcam, you know, Moment have got an app, Filmic Pro have an app. All of those are of good quality. But to be honest, you've got to explore them. Go on YouTube, look at some tutorials, go to the companies themselves, have a look at what their apps provide, because it is personal selection on what works for you. It's a very tricky one for anyone to say, this is the app that you need, because I don't know what your needs are, you know, so you need to explore all of them, see the results, and then you can make your own mind up which one you want to try and explore.
I like the Filmic Pro myself, and sometimes I like just the generic Apple one. If I'm scared and everything's going crazy and I just need to get that moment, I'll use the Apple one. But I mean, if I really want to do nice cinematography where I can pick and choose all these different features and adjust my aperture to where I do want to maybe change my depth of field or whatever, I like the Filmic Pro.
Yeah. And like, I think 99% of people, if they need to take a quick shot, they use native camera app. I think nobody gonna open some third-party app and, you know, but yeah, in some cases, again, I'm talking about using external lenses. If you really want to dial in your camera settings, if you need to shut down your image stabilization, if you need to apply some optical correction because of the anamorphic squeeze, or if you're using depth of field adapters, you want to flip your image upside down, that's when you need, you know, third-party apps, because like a lot of those apps, they do provide options to correct the, you know, either squeeze or orientation of the image if you're using depth of field adapters or anamorphic lenses. But I think it's also about, like, if you're trying to get the best image quality, third-party apps are the solution, because Apple uses a lot of compression. They always use image stabilization in native camera app, and you just can't dial it in. It's what it is. It gives you good results if you need to take a quick shot. If you really want to create the best possible quality, choose, you know, different formats, choose bitrate, actually have your white balance set properly, and all of basically every single control that is available on your camera on your phone, it's available through third-party app, but not through the native Apple app. So
interesting. Now, before we wind this down, I know we have a minute left here, but I do want, Vadim, you talked about lenses. I think we kind of jumped on the lens topic a couple of times. We have had some interest in the comments section about add-on lenses. So external lenses, I know you had mentioned Moment lenses. What are we looking at as far as lens options across the board? Is it better for people to use these external lenses, or do they work with these products?
So when I started back in 2011, when I had this idea about universal rig, all of the phones, they had just a single camera. So basically it had single focal length, so you cannot, it's the same look. So lens at that time was like a natural, you know, progression. You have to, if you want to change the look of your image, you can use conversion lenses. Now, a lot of questions that we always get, like, hey, now my phone has all the 3, 4, 5 cameras. Why do I need the lens? The thing is, main camera is the best camera you get on your phone. It's the best dynamic range, the best low light performance. And like ultra wide cameras, telephoto cameras, they struggle in low lights. They don't have the same image quality, and basically a ton of limitations when it comes to those secondary cameras. So if you combine main camera with high quality glass, you're going to get much better image quality compared to, you know, ultra wide camera or telecamera. And of course, if you have anamorphic lens, it's just anamorphic lens. So you don't have built-in anamorphic lens in your phone. You have anamorphic aesthetics, you have flares, you have a real, you know, aspect ratio, which was not cropped. It just optically was produced. And yeah, it just gives you more options. It's like you can stick with your built-in cameras. That's great. You have a ton of options. But if you really want to explore and really enhance your images, conversion lenses are great. And again, it's been challenging. We actually updated all of our lenses because we're trying to keep up with new cameras, new sensors. They are larger, they have faster glass, in those modules. So older lenses, they just not gonna produce the same quality as before with older phones. So now we're updating all of our lenses, and all the lenses that we have, they just produce excellent quality on all the latest phones and previous phones. So
awesome. And one final gear question, Steve. We've had a lot of interest in that boom pole you were showing. People are asking
Yeah, I know.
where they can get it.
I know that one's going to be a hot ticket there. Stay tuned. We're going to be showing it, and the micro mixer, which allows you, the thing is amazing. I mean, you can set your levels on different mics and bring them in. It has mixed minusing features. You can just hit bypass and send both mics right in. Plus, it has 2 headphone outs where each set of headphones can set a separate mix. So often I just want to hear channel 1, that sounds good. Hear channel 2, that sounds good. And then I set a custom mix where I get it mixed in both ears. And then the boom pole kind of goes with it. They're going to be, we're going to be announcing that all. We'll have them at NAB. If you're going to be at NAB, we're going to have both the mixer and the boom pole, and they're coming soon. But it's, I know, I was telling our team here that if they're walking around NAB with that boom pole, that is going to be, they're going to go, what is that? And it's going to be a patented item too, because this is the first time I've ever really seen a boom on that's a camera mounted device that's 7 ounces.
That's awesome. If my boss is watching, I do need to go to NAB. It's work purposes. So if we could just make that happen. I got to see. You guys look like it's going to be, it's going to be jumping at NAB. You guys got a lot of stuff going on over there. I want to send another huge thank you to our panel here. And of course, the brands that have hosted. So Zacuto and brought along Zhiyun and Beastgrip along for the party. And
thanks guys for coming.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you to all you guys. I'm going to use this final moment here. If you guys have any personal websites, anything, any projects going on, if you guys want to let us know where we can find more information on either the products, or if you have anything, like I said, personal projects going on, this is your time. Any final words?
Yeah, can I share the screen for a sec? Just
Go
very
for it.
quickly. So go to, sorry, hang on. Yep. Yeah, if you can go to Zhiyun's website, check out the films there, tell better stories. They're absolutely fantastic, and hopefully they'll be inspiring. So if there's any filmmakers out there that are considering going, looking at accessories and equipment, do check out that website. The films are really amazing, and it will help you hopefully make a decision on whether you need a gimbal or not. And I just wanted to show what you were saying at Beastgrip. There you go. Look, there's my fantastic Beast cage on a Weebill S with the telephoto lens and an ND filter. So yeah, the rigs are crazy. But yeah, thanks for that.
Awesome. Steve, Vadim, any final words? Any places?
Obviously, you can go to zacuto.com. Myself, we're debating starting a new documentary. I've been spending most of COVID on writing. I've kind of mapped out 4 different screenplays that I'm working on, and that's kind of what I've been, I always need some kind of creative juice happening, and during COVID it was kind of hard, so I switched to writing. But I do kind of miss doing a documentary, so I want to get in one.
Awesome. We'll have to stay tuned for that. And Vadim, what do you got going on over there?
Yeah, just you can check our website beastgrip.com just to check our gear, what's coming next. But basically, we will be releasing new 155 anamorphic lens MK2. It's a 2nd generation. We actually were the first company who released 155x anamorphic lens to get 2.76:1 aspect ratio on smartphones. So this lens, it's upcoming 2nd generation. It's basically 3-glass optical design, works great on the latest devices. Plus, we are working on a couple other things. So beastgrip.com, you can find more info there.
Awesome. Well, I will say this. I don't think I've ever seen so many glowing positive comments in the comment section during one of our live streams. So I think that's just a huge testament. I'd like to think that we have some very educated viewers out there. And this is part of why is we bring on the best in the industry to educate our viewers. So huge thank you to everybody out there who's listening, who has contributed. And I'm going to end it right here on this comment from Nathan, who says, you guys are all pioneers and it will be globally known one day. I just want to be part of it. And I'm truly happy and rooting for your success. So I echo that sentiment. A huge thank you to you guys all for coming on. And it's just testament. People are out there watching. People are out there seeing the great things that you guys are all doing. So keep doing it. And to all of you out there, look, you got to start somewhere. One day you're sitting there bored on the couch, and the next day you're possibly at introducing a feature film at a film festival that you shot on your phone. So sky's the limit. Everybody keep reaching. Other than that, that's all we have. Another round of the B&H virtual event space is in the books. We'll catch y'all next time.